Good evening. The Albuquerque police officer who fired at least 2 shots into a burglary suspect last year believes that he had every right to shoot and kill.
But the police chief disagrees and has fired Officer Brandon Carr nearly a year after the deadly shooting. News 13's Maria Medina is here with details.
And just last November, Officer Brandon Carr responded to a burglary call. His attorney told us on his way, Carr saw kids and their parents enjoying the day outside, with no idea there would be a deadly shooting in their neighborhood.
This could have turned out much, much worse had Brandon not taken the action he did.
John D'Amato says his client, an officer who was on the force just 18 months when he shot and killed Roderick Jones, did it for a community he'd sworn to protect.
It's not wrong to shoot someone in the back if he's armed, running into a neighborhood loaded with kids.
But Carr was fired for that shooting last week. Police Chief Ray Schultz wouldn't elaborate on exactly what policies and procedures Carr had violated.
And he entered the service in 1986.
D'Amato isn't the only attorney defending his client.
So there's a lot of questions about what happened here and whether he was committing a burglary.
Joseph Fine represents the family Jones left behind, a wife and 7 children.
Roderick Jones was in the military. He was in the Air Force. He was decorated, received an honorable discharge.
Fine says Jones did not deserve to die because he never posed a threat to Carr. Although Carr says Jones reached into his pocket twice after repeated commands to surrender, it was determined that he was not carrying a weapon.
Nobody ever wants to have to pull the trigger. That's the worst case scenario for any police officer. That's the worst nightmare to have.
The police union stands behind Carr's split decision, one he'll have to live with for the rest of his life, protecting a community from a man he thought was armed.
You know, what everybody seems to be forgetting is that the individual that was shot in this case was still illegally inside a home.
And Carr has already appealed his firing. His attorney says he's afraid officers will now second-guess shooting someone who poses a threat in fear of losing their jobs. But the chief told us as long as officers stick with policy and procedure, they will be okay. Jess?
Okay, Maria, Carr could possibly face criminal charges. The police chief has forwarded the case to the district attorney's office.